Discuss the development of the stomach. So at 4 weeks, what is happening? Initially, the stomach is a fusiform dilatation. You can see in this diagram, this is the stomach, this is dorsal mesogastrium, this is ventral mesogastrium. So what is happening? The dorsal border is attached to the posterior abdominal wall by a fold of peritoneum known as dorsal mesogastrium. And the ventral border is attached to the septum transversum by another fold of peritoneum called as ventral mesogastrium. Now this is a transverse section. You can see this is ventral mesogastrium, this is dorsal mesogastrium, and this is septum transversum. Now liver and diaphragm is formed in the substance of septum transversum. Ventral mesogastrium now passes from stomach to liver and from liver to the diaphragm and anterior abdominal wall. So, and accordingly the name is given to this ventral mesogastrium. So the part of the ventral mesogastrium which is extending between stomach to liver, that is given the name lesser omentum, and the part of the ventral mesogastrium which is present between the liver to the diaphragm and the anterior abdominal wall, so that is forming the falciform and coronary ligaments. Now similarly, parts of dorsal mesogastrium, they are divided by the development of the spleen into part between the stomach and spleen. So this part is of dorsal mesogastrium, which is given the name gastrosplenic ligament, and part of the dorsal mesogastrium extending between the spleen and the posterior abdominal wall is given the name lino-renal ligament. So lino-renal word is basically because of its relation with the kidney. So renal is kidney, lino word is related with spleen. So but it is just running in relation to this kidney. The name of the ligament is lino-renal ligament. So it is not enclosing the kidney, so this fold. So kidney is lying retroperitoneally. Now what are the sequence of events they are happening in the development of the stomach is? So as I have told you earlier that stomach is fusiform dilatation initially, which is placed in the median plane. Later on, the dorsal border of the stomach, it grows more rapidly than ventral border, forming the fundus and greater curvature. You can see in the diagram C. The pyloric part is pushed more ventrally. So this is pushed more ventrally. This makes the ventral border concave, which forms the future lesser curvature. Now after this event, the stomach undergo rotation to the right at an angle of 90 degree. So with this rotation and differential growth, what is happening? Some changes they happen in its shape and orientation. So the ventral border, it comes to face upward and to the right. So once the rotation is happening, so this ventral border is facing upward and to the right and become the lesser curvature, and dorsal border is pointing downward and to the left and become the greater curvature. So this change is happening because of its rotation at an angle of 90 degree. So this is important. Then left surface becomes anterior. Once the 90 degree rotation is happening, the left surface, it becomes anterior and right surface becomes posterior. So this provides the explanation why left vagus supply the anterior-superior surface and right vagus posterior-inferior surface. Above that, we just give the name to vagus is left and right. But in relation to stomach, we call it as anterior vagus and posterior vagus. So left vagus, it becomes the anterior vagus, and right vagus, it becomes the posterior vagus. So name is changed with the orientation of the stomach. So once the 90 degree rotation is happening, so with the change of you can say the place of the stomach or rotation of the stomach is happening, so the name of the vagus, it changes from left and right to anterior and posterior respectively. Now what are the anomalies of stomach? So this is important anomaly, that is congenital hypertrophic pyloric stenosis, which is basically the involvement of the circular muscles of the pyloric sphincter. So what is happening to those muscles? They are hypertrophied in this case, and neuromuscular incoordination, it occurs. So child suffer from progressive vomiting manifested between 2 weeks and 2 months of postnatal life. The boys are more frequent victim. Incidence is 1 in 150 male and 1 in 750 female infants. So it is more common in boys. So the child will present with these symptoms, that is projectile vomiting, which is not bile stained, so enlarged pyloric end of the stomach. Thank you very much. So, this is all about the development of the stomach. In my next slide, we will discuss the development of the duodenum, jejunum, ileum.